All right, back in elementary school, you learned about long division. And if you remember, sometimes you'd have that R when you have a remainder. And now you're going to take that skill set and you're going to apply it when you have variables. So if I gave you this and I asked you to teach somebody how do you divide these numbers, what would you do? Well, that first number goes inside what we call like the division box. And the outside number would be the second number. So the 32 is going to go on the outside. And so what I want you to write down from this particular slide is the order we use. And it's on the board over there, if you can see it, and it's down below. So on your paper, please write down these steps. Divide, and you can use just the first letter unless you won't remember it, but it's divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. Those are the 5 steps that we would use if we had no variables, and we'll also use them when we have variables. Once again, divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. It is time. You ready? So how do we go about doing this? So if I was going to do this, I would do it like this. Okay, let's come back here. This is what I would do. So I would write 487, 32's on the outside, and I personally would underline and underline, and I'd say to myself, how many times can 32 go into 48? And the answer is how many times? Once. So I could bring a 1 up here, and then I multiply. 1 times 32 is 32. I change a sign, and then I subtract down. And then I bring down the next number, and I go, how many times can 32 go into 167. Now, we want to maximize the number of times it can go in, but we cannot go over. And so I'm going to just do some approximations. If I count by 30s, it would be 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. I think if I go up to 6, I'm probably going to be over.
Good morning,
I'm going to try 5,
pardon this interruption.
Multiply.
Staff, if you are available to assist with first period sub-coverage, please see Ms. Salazar in the principal's office. Once again, if you are available to assist with first period coverage, please see Ms. Salazar in the principal's office. Thank you.
So what did we do? Now this is important. When you were in elementary school, how many of you learned to do this? R7. Hands up high. You remember like this remainder 7. So we're not going to write it like that anymore. What this means is we have 15 wholes. So of 32, there's 15 groups of 32 that can fit into 487, but then we have this remainder. And so how we correctly write the remainder is we make a fraction off to the side, the number we have down below goes up top, and then what it's over goes on the side. So this is the correct way. There's 15 whole groups of 32 that fit into 487, and we have a remainder of 7 over 32. So we're going to apply that now to what does it look like when we actually have variables. I would like you to write this problem down. I'll do the same on my paper. I'm going to go through 3 problems with you before your tutors take over. So I'm going to bring this back over here. Give me 1 second so you can see this. Now the first thing I'm looking at is I'm making sure that everything's accounted for. And this is what it means. So tutors, feel free to write down the first problem on your board while I'm getting this ready, so you'll be ready to go. It's number 1 on your paper. This is a degree 2, so I need to make sure everything's there. So degree 2 is there, degree 1 is there, and degree 0. Okay, everything's accounted for. Degree 1 is here, and degree 0. So everything is accounted for. So I'm going to get started. And so I would like you to underline, and I'm going to write this down. So first I divide, then I multiply, then I subtract. Oh, by the way, I say change signs. Then I change signs. That means subtracting. Then I check, and then I bring down. Okay, we're ready to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do dividing. So to do that, I say to myself, x times what quantity gives you x squared? X times what quantity gives you x squared? And the answer is x. X times x is x squared. So think of this as 3 different columns here. And I agree, x times x is x squared. So I know I want to take an x and put it into just the x column. Notice this is the x squared column, this is the constants column. So I've just chosen my number up above, and now it's time for me to multiply. X times x is x squared. X times positive 1 is positive 1x, and then I put a line underneath. So I've chosen the number up top, I've multiplied it through. And now when we say subtract, what it really means is it means change the sign. So whatever the signs were always on the second level, we change the sign. This was positive, it becomes negative. This was positive, it becomes negative. And by the way, if it was negative, it would become positive. Okay, good with that. Now it's time to bring it down together. We're going to combine these. So positive 1x squared and negative 1x squared, they're additive inverses. They cancel out. Positive 3x and negative 1x is 2x. I bring down the next number and I repeat the whole cycle again. How do I repeat this? Underline the first thing out front and underline the first term. In order for me to choose this number, in my mind I'm saying x times what gives you 2x. So let me write that down. If you're a visual person, x times what equals 2x? Does anybody know? X times, anybody? I think somebody said, times 2. 2. So I just have a value of 2. There's no x involved. So I'm going to line it up with just the constants, and I'm going to put a positive 2 there. So I chose the number, and now it's time to multiply. Positive 2, and we always do the outside number first. Positive 2 times x is 2x. Positive 2 times 1 is positive 2. I always go to the second line, not the first line, the second line, and I change the sign. So it was positive, make it negative. It was positive, make it negative. You always change the signs of everything in the second line, and now we're going to combine. So positive 2x and negative 2x, they cancel out. And negative 2 and negative 2 is negative 4. Everything I did was correct. So when I divide x plus 1 into this polynomial, I have a remainder. Well, how do I write down the answer? It's just like we did in this previous slide. This previous slide right here, let me go back one. Oh, back a couple. Just like this. How do we write this? So we're going to go here and we're going to write it as whatever's on top. So x plus 2. Oh, I got a remainder. We don't put an r anymore. We don't do that in your math. We put the remainder is going to be plus negative 4 is our remainder, and it's always going to be written, the denominator is going to be whatever's out front here. Here's what this means. If I said to you, how many groups of x plus 1 can divide into the polynomial x squared plus 3x minus 2? How many groups? X plus 2. That's how many can go in, but it doesn't go in evenly. There is a remainder. Okay, let's look at our next example. We may do one more before I hand it over to your tutor. I'll post this, I'm going to post this PowerPoint so that you can go step by step through it. If you're struggling, I would like you to write down this problem. This will be the last one I go over. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Let me come back here. This is what it looks like. Now there's some trouble with this. One, it's not put in pretty form. It's not in standard form, and I can see things are missing. What I know is the front part always goes inside the division box. So I'm going to make my division box, and I'm going to ask myself, what degree is this polynomial? It's not necessarily the first one. It's degree 3. As a group right now, make sure everybody in your group understands why this is degree 3. Go. So thumbs up or thumbs down in your group if you understand, so they know to help you. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, it's degree 3 because we have to analyze it. It's not in order. Okay, degree 3. So I'm going to start with the first one, 2x cubed. Now here's the problem. Is there anything x squared? We have to show that there's nothing there, 0x squared. If we don't do that, we're going to get the answer wrong. So I have to the third, to the second, now I go to the first, plus 4x the first minus 1. So if anything is missing, we got to put a 0 in front of that missing piece. This is what's going to go up front. It's degree 1. I have x to the first and x to the 0, so everything is accounted for. All right, here we go. You ready? I'm going to make really quick, and you're not going to do this after you do a few problems unless this really helps you. You probably won't continue to do this. But I want you to see that there's 3 columns here. Whatever I put up here would be x cubes, x squared, x's, and constants. Let's get started. Please underline the first term outside and the first term on the inside. And so if you're a visual learner, this is what I'm asking myself. I have a 2x, and I want to know, what do I need to multiply by 2x to get 2x cubed? Don't say the answer out loud. Just raise your hand if you know. I have 2x. What do I need to multiply 2x by to come up with 2x cubed? Hands up high if you know. Okay, you can say out loud right now. What is it? It's x squared. So where do I put the x squared? It has to go into the column with x squared. So above here, I write x squared. I've chosen the number, now it's time to multiply. So when I multiply, I always go on the outside first. So this is really like a 1, if that helps you, by the way. 1 times 2 is 2. X squared, and x gives you x to the third. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, and I have 2 x's. I've chosen the number, I've multiplied through, now it's time to always change the sign of everything on the second row. So this was positive, it becomes negative, this was negative, it becomes positive. Okay, let's add straight down. Positive 2x cubed and negative 2x cubed are additive inverses, they disappear. Positive 0x squared and positive 2x squared is 2x squared, bringing down one term. We start the process all over again. Please underline and underline. And if you're a visual learner like myself, I have 2x, I need to multiply it by something, and I need to end up with 2x cubed, or squared, 2x squared. So 2x times what quantity gives you 2x squared? You can shout it out. The answer is x. So I go into the column that has only x's to the first, and I write an x. That's a positive x. Once I've selected the value up top, I'm going to multiply. So 1x times 2x is 2x squared. 1x times negative 2 is negative 2x. I'm going to change the sign of everything in the second row. And now I'm going to add straight down. All right, these cancel. They're additive inverses. 4x and a positive 2x is 6x. I bring down my last term, so I only have to repeat this. This is my last time, and I'm going to underline. This time, without me telling you, I'd like you to finish this problem off. I'm going to give you 20 seconds, and then let's see if your answer matches mine. Only when you're done, check your answer with mine.